My story. Settling the score. My name is Nina, I am 31 years old, and I work as a senior auditor at one of the top accounting firms in the city. This story begins on the day my husband, Ryan, sent me a text that shattered something inside me. We had been married for 7 years, and for the last 2 months, we had been living apart. His message read, "The house is sold, the money is in my account, just sign for $200,000 and stay quiet, or you get nothing." I was on a train coming back from a work trip when I read it. My hands shook, but instead of tears, a cold, calculating anger rose inside me. I knew the house couldn't have been sold without my signature, since my name was on the deed too. Something was very wrong. I opened my laptop and pulled up the property records. Just as I suspected, Ryan had forged my signature to complete the sale. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was a crime. I sat there staring at the screen, replaying every year I had spent covering his debts, paying his card bills, believing his promises that things would get better once his business finally took off. None of it had been true. He had simply been waiting for the right moment to take everything and leave me holding nothing. Sitting beside me on the train was an elderly man quietly reading a newspaper. Suddenly he gasped, his hands trembling, and he slumped in his seat. I acted fast, calling for help and holding his head steady until the color returned to his face. A few minutes later, he smiled weakly and said, "Thank you. My name is Harold. I'm a retired appellate judge." Without fully meaning to, I told him everything. Something about his calm presence made me trust him. He listened carefully and then said, "This isn't just a property dispute. This is criminal forgery. If you have documentation, I can help you." He asked me to walk him through every transaction, every date, every account number, and by the time the train pulled into the station, we had built a rough timeline of exactly how Ryan had planned this months in advance. The following week, when Ryan walked into the courtroom with his expensive lawyer, Marcus Webb, his confidence radiated through the room. Beside him stood a woman named Priya, wearing my late grandmother's diamond ring, the one that had vanished from my jewelry box months earlier. She caught my eye and smiled like she had already won something. When it was my turn to speak, I stood alone, but a voice came from behind me. "Objection, Your Honor. I would like to formally act as advisor for the petitioner." Every head turned. The moment the judge recognized Harold, the entire courtroom fell silent. The judge rose to his feet. "Justice Harold, you're here?" Marcus Webb's face went pale, and his hand, holding a pen, froze midair over his legal pad. Harold laid out the evidence I had gathered, the forged signature, the bank transfer records, the property documents. Ryan stammered, tried to lie, but the truth was already out in the open. His lawyer tried once to object, but Harold calmly cited a precedent so specific that Marcus simply sat back down, defeated before he had even begun. The judge ruled immediately. The property transfer was voided, Ryan would face forgery charges, and my grandmother's ring was to be returned that same day. Priya, humiliated, slid the ring off her finger, her hands shaking as the courtroom watched in silence. Ryan was led away by police, still trying to explain himself to anyone who would listen, though no one did. Marcus Webb quietly dropped the case, his reputation crumbling the instant Harold's presence had exposed how thin his confidence really was. That evening, Harold told me, "You helped me without expecting anything in return, so I stood by you the same way. That's how the world settles its accounts." I thanked him, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could stand on my own again. We stayed in touch long after that day, and he became something like family, checking in on me over the following months as I slowly rebuilt everything Ryan had tried to take. Today, 2 years later, I run my own accounting firm, one built entirely on my own name and my own reputation. My grandmother's ring never leaves my finger, a quiet reminder of my own strength and of the woman I chose to become instead of the one Ryan expected me to be. Ryan is still serving his sentence, and I've learned that patience and truth together are the only real way to balance the scales.